Hey guys, this is Kirob speaking, and today we are back in making the Diablo 2 Countess run simulator. After a bit of a break for me, for you not so much. Episodes have been coming up every third day, but last time I looked at this was about 3 weeks ago, I believe, roughly. So I need some time to get back into what I've written here, because yeah, let's talk about this real quick. Like, when you have a project and you're really in the groove and things are going well, and then something comes in between and you have to stop for a while, that makes it usually pretty hard to get back into it. And especially in programming, I find that it's like a big threshold of finding back into it again. And it's so easy to just put it off a little longer, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. And it wasn't because, for me, with this one, it wasn't that I wasn't motivated to continue, or not at all. Rather, it was other things that needed to be done, like work and stuff. But yes, so I'm not quite sure where I am. So let's check it out. Where are we? Strategies to fight this threshold is a pretty good one. I think that ties back into what I said in the very first episode, and that is just get started. Like, the main threshold actually is just the thought of you getting started, and the easiest way to overcome it, the way I overcame it now, apart from fucking hell I'm running out of episodes, was actually that I just said, okay, I don't really feel continuing now. Let me just open up the program, see where I was, and just look over the code a little. Don't program anything. It's fine. And then you close it. After 15 minutes, you close it again. There's no harm done. No harm done. You can do that. 15 minutes, easy. And you know what? After those 15 minutes, I was I had knocked down that threshold to a much lower number. Well, feeling, a much lower feeling, much better one. And I was confident that, yeah, getting back into it won't be that hard. It looks quite cool. And it does. Look how far we have come. So, number of runs, yes, we do need to get the number of runs simulated first. 100 runs, simulate, and it brings us to the number of runs page for the results. Okay, that's good. Yes, last time around, let me check my my little notebook here. We are currently 25 hours into the process, and today we'll probably add another 3 hours to it, the way I'm seeing. Maybe not quite, but yeah. Easy to get there. And this looks awfully empty. I think this is the first thing we should do. It is to get the results on here and maybe hook up a few stats. And there's no way to get back either. Yeah, that might also be something I need to look at. But first things first, let's hook up some of the stats, like the actual runs, so that we can see how the runes are popping in, and tie that into our runs per frame stat you can set. That might be a pretty good first thing. And then we can look further at the rune cubing algorithm, which isn't in there yet. But it will be pretty simple, I think. So yeah, let me get started with this. I think so that we can see it better, I'm going to introduce a UI countdown timer, and when we first get in here, we're with every step diminishing it or decreasing it by 1 for each frame, because these calculations, the step happens on every frame, so that we get a bit of a countdown towards the actual runs taking place. There won't be any feedback for that yet, but let me just put that in so that we don't click the button, simulate, and whoop, it's all done already. It's like, oh, what happened? What happened? That might not be too good to debug things. Okay, this is super simple, but I think it should work. Famous last words there once again. But in the creation event of our results object, results UI manager, that is, I'm just creating the countdown timer, which is 200 frames. Then I'm getting the runs left to do variable, initialize this with the settings object's number of runs setting we have chosen from the setup manager. And then for every tick, I go in here and check if the UI countdown is larger than 0. And if it is, then I reduce the count by 1, as I mentioned previously. And if the countdown timer is 0, and the runs left to do is larger than 0, then I'm going to do a for loop over the, one run, and at the same time reduce the runs left to do with 1 after each one of these runs. And the loop is just a run between 0 and runs per frame, because all this is happening once a frame. And I think that should be all, and we should be seeing some counting up of runes. Shall we try it out? I think the answer to that is yes. So we set a certain number of runs, let's say 1,000 runs. Click simulate, nothing happens, and there, whoa, okay, it worked. It worked. We found 4 ist runes. That's mighty impressive. Alright. Well, that is good news. That was a very motivating bit of first programming today. I think we should try that out at a somewhat lower speed. See if that actually properly ties in. I mean, now we have the tools to... Oh, that was at 10 runs a frame. So that would have been 1,000 runs per second? Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so let's put it down to 1 and just do like 500 runs and see it count up. Here we go. Okay, timer, and here we go. Oh, you see it grow. Ah, it's so pretty to watch. Ah, there we're done. Nice. I think the next thing we can do is to get the cubing algorithm sorted. But first, I think I've spotted a bug. Let me show you. The cube setting doesn't seem to be properly initialized, because when we are going in here, these are selected, right? These are all selected, and I can put one there and there. Now we press simulate, and they are done. They're gone. So something's wrong there. I'm having so much troubles with such a simple thing. Okay, so turns out that the data never is properly given to the settings variable. So I need to check out what is going on when we are pressing that simulate button. And going back all the way, it certainly looks like the button is set up to be working. But it never writes... does it? No, it never actually writes its setting to anything. So you click the button and it works, but it doesn't work because it's not hooked up to anything. Well, that explains it. No, I was looking at the wrong spot. It is supposedly hooked up. Well, let's see if all the cases are actually there. Yeah, okay, I found a pretty big bug. The looper variable here was not reset to 0. So I don't know what kind of crap it wrote to this array. We shall see if it works now. Yeah, that was it. Okay. Now that we have that sorted, how about we start creating the rune cubing algorithm? That should be fun. I think that is it. That is our rune cubing algorithm. Let me explain to you what's happening. So it goes in here and checks if the current rune inventory is... that is the rune ID. So it gives it like, okay, how many odd runes do you have? It then tells it, okay, I have 3 odd runes. Is this number, 3, larger than the sum of how many runes you actually need in order to create a higher one, plus how many we are requiring in the end? If that is the case, then you can cube. But wait a second, should it be equal as well? Plus equal... Yes, there should be an equal sign there as well as larger than. So, okay, let's say you have 4 runes and you require 1 in the end. So that would mean that this is 4, this is 3, because you need 3 runes in order to create the next higher rune, the full rune. And this one is 1 for the odd rune, because we require 1 odd rune in the end. And that statement is then true. What this gives you then is... we go in here for the rune inventory and add a rune to the slot that is 1 higher than the current one. And we decrease the current one by the number of runes that are required in order to create the higher one. We up the number of cubings that have been completed, and we add to the time, the total time spent cubing, the cube time that was set in the settings options. Okay, yeah, that sounds entirely reasonable. And if I've done everything right, the only thing that is needed now is to actually call this after every set of runs. Like after every frame, because the UI updates only after each frame. And that means we should only have to call it once per for loop over all the runs per frame. That is a good thing, because it means that it doesn't slow it down too much. So if we are doing 100 runs, then we don't have to cube after each run, but rather after 100 runs. Okay, so I'm calling the cube function, the cube script here, after my for loop over the number of runs. Let's see if it works. So let's create an interesting little situation where we create as many odd runes as possible. Let's see if it works. So if we... yeah, we can leave those on. Switch over here. We cube everything up to and including the Ral rune, like this. And then we cube everything like this. Okay. And we're going to do, let's say, 10,000 runs at 10 runs per frame. Should be fast enough. 10 seconds, I believe, that should be. Okay, how many odd runes do we get? Does it even work? Does it crash? We shall find out very soon. So far, it's looking good. Let's see. Oh, no. Oh. No, this one is cubing. This one is cubing. Oh my god. It is cubing. Stop it already. Whoa. How did we get a bear rune? Oh, well, it is 10,000 Countess runs in Helm. That's how we got a bear rune. Yeah. Okay. Well, that didn't quite work. And I need to check why. I assume we're not actually checking if we are allowed to cube this or not. That might be missing. I think it is missing. Indeed, it was missing. Smart. It's so smart. So smart. It's like we write all that code to transport over the setting and then we completely fucking ignore it. Yeah, that's how programming works, Garob. Okay, so now we have a check here for, are we supposed to cube this rune or not? And if yes, then we go in here and do the check. I make the simpler check first and then the more complex check. That saves a little bit of time. Alright, let's try the same thing again. Maybe 10,000 runs once again. Yeah, that's all good. And we're already a number of runs. Good. So we cube everything up to the odd rune. And then we leave... which rune do we want up here? I think we are hunting the lowest of the high runes. There we go. Are you ready for the simulation? I think you are. Okay, let's get started. Go! Oh, the odd runes are coming. It's definitely working. Oh, there we have 2. And you can see them slowly dribble down here. The odd runes are counting up. And we already have 6 low runes. Ah, there we go. 2,917 odd runes and 6 low runes. Nice. So that's working. But the weird behavior we saw before, where there was still a lot of odd runes left, even though they weren't supposed to be cubed, that comes from that at maximum 1 cubing can happen per rune, per frame. That is something I still need to address. I think a while loop solves that pretty nicely. So if we are running into that situation, I'm still staggering the calls to the various comparisons. So the easiest first, if this rune is allowed to be cubed, then we check if there are enough runes. If there are enough runes, it goes into a while loop that does do the cubing until that statement no longer is true. So that should cover all bases. Let's try it out with the high runs per frame setting. Okay, extreme case, I guess. Maximum number of runs per frame, and maybe not quite as many. Let's go with... is 100 enough? Nah. Okay, let's go with 1,000 maximum. And maximum number of runs. And all the odd runes are expected to come out of this. Okay, so do we want to see if we can get a little higher than usual? Let's cube all the way up. Okay, ready, go. Okay, wait, and then go. There. Whoa, it's counting, and it's working. We never saw blinking up anything that was larger than 3, or well, 2 actually. And we ended up with 2 Zods. Nice. Our first Zod rune. And only 29,420 Blazonet odd runes. Awesome. Just in general, I think we need to briefly touch on the cubing algorithm. And there were several people who were asking like, oh, and how are you going to deal with that? It's going to be so complicated. And what I'm doing right now might seem like a simple thing, but you have to recognize that we are dealing here with a completely linear problem. And that is, there is no shortcut anywhere. That means there is no strategy. Like, are you supposed to cube them now or wait for them? There is no such question, because it's entirely linear. In order to get to the highest rune, you there is only one optimal thing, and that is to save at least the number of runes you require and cube all the others in order to get to somewhere. That is how you optimally do it in order to get there the fastest. And if it turns out that you find that rune you require that is higher up earlier, well, then so be it. Time-wise, on the other hand, it is not necessarily optimal, but you can never really know that, and you have limited inventory space. Or you don't want to do as much inventory management. So those concerns, I think, clearly state in their own that there's only really one optimal solution, and that is what we're doing here right now. Just straight up, if you don't need the runes, straight up cube them. And yeah, so when time comes into it, then you would have to have a calculation about what is on average faster. Getting the rune by cubing and wasting that time, so to say, on cubing, or if finding it directly is faster. Let's say in a low rune. Will it be faster to cube all the super high runes you find from the super high? Well, super high in air quotes, right? Super high runes from the Countess. Is that enough? Will that get you there faster, or should you wait for her to actually drop a low rune herself? Because she can do that. So that is a different story, but in our case here, we don't really need that, I think, because of the inventory question. So, well, we have plenty of inventory space here, but the player who is doing all the runs doesn't, so I think it's out of question. But still an interesting discussion that way. But, like I said, there is no shortcut. It's entirely linear, so there's no strategy involved beyond the time question and the inventory size question. Alright, I just opened up the InDesign once again, and just to see what I need to put on here. So it seems like same text size as for these titles in the columns, and then in red the total amount of time, the total runtime, the total cube time, runes found should be interesting as well, and number of cubings, and sim time. So we need to count frames. Interesting. Let's try to make all of those stats and put them in. I think I will be able to do that easily. Not the formatting, mind you. That will require a little bit of extra. We will have to have, if we are going it the raw way, we'll have to have like total time spent hours, minutes, and seconds. And that is all being converted from frames. And then there's an algorithm which churns it through and increments it accordingly and converts like 60 minutes to an hour and so on. Okay, I think GameMaker has a lot of functions for time formatting. I should check that out so that I don't do double work. But first, we need the time in seconds. And that should be reasonably easy to get. Or we are already having it, actually. But I need to have it split. So, runs time and cube time. Oh, no, I have those already. So I just need to add them up to total time. Cool. Okay, we're back in here. And I wanted to try out my first shot at this field overall in the results. So what I'm going to do is just do 1,000 runs here and simulate. It's partially working. Ooh, there we go. That's a lot of seconds. Yes, okay, that works. So now I just need to fill it in. I think I constructed all of them. Total time is easy. Runtime, cube time I already have. Runes found I constructed. Made a new variable for that and counting it up with the... Because we're already tracking the rune drops per run. With that we built our kind of debug code. And then number of cubings we already have. And sim time I still need to calculate. But first let me fill those in. And... why doesn't this field go all to the bottom? Oh, it's not supposed to. Alright, no, that's all good. Oh, yeah, that's where something else comes in for the... Already forgotten. For the other mode, we have our UI there. So these are actually pretty tight. Yeah, there's plenty of room there. Okay, easy. Alright, let's have a look. I think I've hooked it all up. Well, more or less. So, we do a few runs, simulate, and... Oh, error. Yes, perfect. Was just missing the main structure here. This one was missing. So, maybe that was the only bug? Here we go again. And runs. There. And... Come on. Yes, it's working. It is working. Wow. Wow, that was good. Number of cubings. See the total time. And this adds up. It's looking pretty decent. And now I just need to get the spacing proper. Shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too hard because I was smart. Look at this data spacing. Now we put it to 65 instead of 70. And that should pull it together. Because in the draw event, I just put in a data spacing for all this. And then they just need a different starting value for the actual data being displayed and the headings. And then we smile all the way to the compiler. Here we go. Here we go. Number of runs. This is all good. And 1000 runs. Ah, yes. Formatting is working. That is all working. Well, apart from the sim time, because I'm calculating that wrong. I didn't just wait 100 seconds. Ah, that's still a little wrong. Yeah, the direct fix is to divide by the frame rate we have set. Although, that is not entirely correct if we are running into a wall on slower systems and higher runs per frame. Well, I leave it at this for now. It should be reasonably accurate. If get the time at some point, then I can always make it more accurate by checking system time and shit. Alright, more confusion there. I wasn't actually displaying the sim time, but rather the sim time frames, because I didn't have sim time back then when I wrote the output. And then, of course, it just has to be the number of frames divided by the frame rate, which is 100. And that should now all work. Let's have another go and see what we have in our right-hand panel. Now, 5,000 runs, 5 runs per frame, and cube time, 18. Yes, here we go. And start. This is looking a little slow. Yeah, this is not going in real time. So something is slow here. Ah, yes, okay. Now what I'm trying to do is to actually get it into the formatting where there's this little X, like I have it here. I think that might clean things up a little bit. But then we also need the grayed out zeros. Alright. More work to do. Although, I'm not quite sure if we need the grayed out zeros. But this looks very, very empty, doesn't it? Yeah, probably we do need them. Yeah, isn't this looking pretty? Yeah. So now for the grayed out numbers. This is all done dynamically with the... Oh, well, dynamically. Not dynamically. But by me adjusting some of the values here. I've just put in the X in a different font size. Made that one small X, that's size 10. And then just display it a little offset from the others. And I've changed the alignment to left aligned instead of center. And now I need to do the numbering for the empty fields. Alright, let's try it out. That was super quick and easy to do. And yeah, that's not too bad. Nicely structured, allows for lots of runes. If you're running those 100k runs and you only want to have tile runes, then there you go. It still fits. Yeah, overall I'm quite happy with this. It's not looking too shabby. Like this big gap between those fields and the runes is somewhat unfortunate, but I think it comes with the UI design. And you want to have, like, reasonable numbers are something like this, after all, right? So, if you're looking for a few higher runes, mid to high runes, and you are simulating like 100 runs or whatever, then you're looking for numbers like these, not 10,000 something something. And my point here being is that you want to have the rune itself and the number that is associated with that rune as close together as possible without being obnoxious. And I think this accomplishes that nicely. And you know what's up next? Yes, the health bar. Or rather, our progress bar. Yes, that will be interesting. Fortunately, this has a pretty good health function. Help function, even. So, starting X, starting Y, going to X, going to Y, then the amount? Oh, that's probably a fraction, right? I need to check out the manual for that. It's so weird. Ah, here we have it. Oh, direction value. Left, top, right. Okay. Oh, actually, we don't really need that. We don't need a health bar. No, we don't. We're doing it manually. We're just drawing a rectangle of that color. Yes. Okay, I remember. Yeah, that's how we planned it. Okay, I think I figured out the correct pixel numbers. I had to launch fucking InDesign. Like, shut this down, launch InDesign, then launch this again, notice that I've forgotten something, close this down again, and launch InDesign, and so forth. Yes, okay, but now I think I figured out where to place the rectangle. And it is some odd numbers. And I think that was said during these episodes, where I place that it would have, because it has a border, it will be really weird numbers. But select runes? No, this. Okay. Oh, okay. There's the bar. I think it looks correct. Now it just needs to be scaled properly. Yeah, that's the advantage of having a health bar. Then you don't have to calculate anything. But yeah, let's do that. And that should be the fraction, right? 1 minus runs left to do divided by the number of runs we have set in the UI. I hope that's correct. And now I just need to scale my rectangle accordingly. It is a maximum of 616 wide. And now I have calculated the fraction. And that should be all. So just copy this one, and that number is the X end, so that needs to be 322, like the start value, plus the fraction times the maximum length of it. And hopefully that works. So let's try it out. So we need to be slow, runs per frame 1, and come on, oh yeah. Alright, it's looking good. Oh, first time it worked. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, I think I've figured it out. Let's see. Yeah, more or less. It's not aligned, but isn't it pretty? Yes, it's working. Yes, and now the text is aligned as well. This is looking pretty nice. What? In 100 runs, we didn't find a single Eld rune. Wow, yeah. I mean, it's the rarest of the lower runes, especially in Hell. It's super rare. What was it? Like, I think the Eld rune was 1 in 50, and the Eld rune is even lower than that. So yeah, okay, makes sense. Out of 100 runs, you may not find this one. But I mean, overall, I'm really pleased where we are now. This is looking a lot closer, at least in this mode. It's pretty close to done, I would say. I wouldn't know what else to add to it. Oh, yeah, right. The time formatting is the thing. Yes. Okay, but other than that, everything's hooked up. So that's great. Very great indeed. And now let's have a good run with it to simulate what's going on. To wrap it up for today. As you can see, it's getting a little late. So, number of runes. Now, we shall do 1,000 runs. 1 run per frame. And what are we cubing? Oh yeah, no, I think we are cubing anything from a soul rune and up. Oh, nah, let's do arm runes too. Okay, and here we go. Timer. Now. Ah, look at that. The runes are marching. The marching of the runes and the runs. Ah, yes. We have done well. We have done well. This is a good Countess run simulator. Yeah. And with that, I say I hope you enjoyed and see you guys next time.